showcase is run by the International Peace Foundation. It is called Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace.
You see, peace, we believe, is not the absence of war. It starts with everybody. So it starts within ourselves. It starts within your family. It starts within your social environment, but also with the nature, for example. So this is why I believe everybody is invited, to participate in these dialogues towards a culture of peace, because we have to find ways, different ways also to deal with each other.
For the first time, Nobel laureates will gather in Bangkok, Chiang Mai and Khon Kaen. The event will be open to all from November 6, with two-time U.S. presidential candidate Reverend Jesse Jackson talking about the state's role in international peace. Other speakers include Professor Lord Darren Darf, former director of the London School of Economics, and East Timor's Foreign Minister Jose Ramos Horta. Also topping the bill will be Gareth Evans, Australia's former Foreign Affairs Minister, and Body Shop founder Dame Anita Roddick. Other activities include a dance performance by Professor Marcia Haiti of the Stuttgart and Santiago de Chile ballets, and a recital by diva Jessie Norman. The event runs from November 2003 to April 2004, and organizers say Thailand was chosen as host because of the leadership of His Majesty the King in promoting inner and outer peace. For more information about the event, including schedules, visit worldwideweb.peace/foundation.net or call 02-636-7764. The event aims to raise funds for peace, education, and development programs in Thailand. Organizers welcome any support. Jesse Jackson has challenged for the White House and been a longtime advocate of civil and human rights. He was a colleague of slain U.S. civil rights leader Martin Luther King. In Bangkok today, Jackson told reporters on his arrival that he will be talking about the chances for America to become a force for peace in the world. Jackson will speak at the Foreign Correspondents' Club tomorrow night, and on Thursday will deliver the keynote address of the Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace lecture series. The speech is being delivered at Bangkok's Thammasat University.
I was able to bring people home from jail and negotiate with those governments to gain their release. I've always been asked, what did I do different than our own government to gain their freedom? First thing I trying to be a peacemaker and a two-way bridge builder matters. Secondly, in each instance there were diplomatic disconnects. People not talking with each other in a meaningful way.
Jackson is among a host of world leaders and Nobel laureates coming to Bangkok for the Bridges series lectures. Included are Prince Alfred and Princess Rafaela of Liechtenstein. They told reporters they want to see money raised to promote awareness of peace around the globe. The royal couple explained that building a culture of peace begets worldwide respect and recognition.
Is in a state of war.
I'm the chairman of the International Peace Foundation. I would very much like to welcome you and also welcome the panel, which I would like to introduce to you. From my side, the right side, is Mr. Ivan Chu. He is General Manager of Cathay Pacific Airways. On the left side, Prajak Buradak, General Manager from American Airlines. And they have kindly sponsored the tickets of Reverend Jesse Jackson. So we were that they brought Reverend Jesse Jackson here to Thailand for the first time. We have also Professor Narit Chayasud University, as well as Princess Raffaella of Liechtenstein and Prince Alfred of Liechtenstein. He is the chairman of our advisory board, and Dr. Mark Lamtai. He is the deputy chairman of the Committee on Strategic Nonviolence of the National Security Council, and also a member of our working group, which reports hearty welcome to Reverend Jesse Jackson from Chicago. So I wanted to ask first Dr. Mark Lamtai to give us a brief dialogues towards the culture of peace.
Peace Foundation first began thinking about the possibility of holding this project Bridges. They invited 6 or 7 of us as a working group of people who work in the field of peacemaking here in Thailand to discuss the possibilities of holding such a project here in Thailand and what should it look like if such a project came to be. Now, when we had our early meetings, the first thing that immediately was of interest to us in the working group was the rationale that the International Peace Foundation had for choosing Thailand as a venue for such a project as this. And this rationale, I think many of you have read in various brochures. Something forced on Thai culture or society. And so these two things combined, realizing the problems that we have to solve, we thought that such a project as Bridges would actually assist in the efforts towards peacemaking and building a culture of peace in Thailand. And so we figured that if it was put together in the right way with the right people here, that we could learn a lot from all the distinguished people coming with lots of experience in this field. Activity, which finally I think it has to be, because it is going to be towards a common humanity. So I welcome forward to learning a lot from your experiences.
Speech on Thursday, November the 6th at 2 p.m. at Thammasat University's auditorium on Krachan Road. Free tickets can be obtained through the number which is also mentioned in the press release. Reverend Jackson will stay in Thailand until November the 7th. His program includes a dinner keynote speech for the Thai business community, visit to Chiang Mai and Mae Hong Son to meet with Burmese refugees, their involvement in this whole project.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. It's a pleasure and a joy to be back to Thailand, a wonderful country. The Peace Foundation wants to be an independent platform for dialogues and for humanitarian issues. So it has also goals to raise funds for health, education, and peace causes. We are here because we want to participate, to inspire and to influence the paradigm shift which is taking place now. A paradigm shift which goes from a culture of war to a culture of peace, from a culture of destruction to a culture of construction, from a culture of mistrust or distrust to a culture of trust. And as Mr. Carlos Santana said yesterday, from the love for power to the power of love. You know, this planet does not belong to us. This place belongs to the future. We have to do all what we can to build a society which can host wonderfully our children this generation and the next generation. We are all responsible for the change. We can make incredible changes even while doing little things. Feel the power for this. We can make it. As Mother Teresa from Calcutta said, all what we do, it's maybe a little drop in the ocean, but if we don't do it, the ocean will miss it forever.
We are here, as my wife said already, because we want to see a future. We want to see a new culture for our children. And this is the culture of peace. Now, what do we understand about peace? It's
We are very pleased that we are a part of the program, which is Dialogues Toward a Culture of Peace. And we are very proud that the first public lectures is inaugurated at Thammasat University our 70 years. And then everyone knows that the founder of our university, Dr. Priti Phnomyong, the late Prime Minister of Thailand who founded Thammasat, he was a champion of peace and democracy. So our university was founded on that basis, and even though it was 70 years ago, we still working toward that goal, that we want to, Thammasat University, one, create a civil society as well as democratic society. So, for participants, so I just would like to invite all interested, those who support peace, to come and listen to his speech. Thank you very much.
Who is organizing this event on behalf of the Thammasat University. Thank you again for coming to Thailand.
We have to host this event today. I know it's been awkward with your expectations so high of what I have to say about peace coming from a nation today that is a mass purveyor of violence and war. Our country is at war today, unnecessarily and painfully so. I've been blessed in the last 20 years to go to countries where Americans and others were in prison, prisons of war. To bring Lieutenant Robert Goodman out of prison in Syria, to bring 40 people out of prisons who've been in jail in Cuba for 25 years, to negotiate with Saddam Hussein and bring 600 women out from Britain and France and Canada and America who were willing to be used as human shields in the war, and 3 soldiers out of Yugoslavia negotiating with Milosevic. To reflect upon those 4 instances, I was able to bring people home from jail and negotiate with those governments to gain their release. I've often been asked, what did I do different than our own government to gain their freedom? First thing I trying to be a peacemaker and a two-way bridge builder matters. Secondly, in each instance there were diplomatic disconnects. People were not talking with each other in a meaningful way. The third of that was poverty, ignored poverty, and simmering fears and often hatred. Fourth, the role of indigenous religion was underestimated in each instance. And 5, the lack of faith on the part of those who genuinely wanted to end a given conflict. As I listened to friends wrestle with this issue of peace and war, or violence, peace affirms mutual respect and mutual recognition in the firm's mutual human worth. The privileged are threatened by equality. The privileged are threatened by equality. And the aristocracy is threatened by democracy. So when you speak of evening the playing field, that is a threat to the landed gentry. As I'll share with you the next few days, there are 5 basic principles making us a safer and a more secure world. 1 is international law. And 2, human rights. 3, self-determination. 4, economic justice. And 5, one set of rules in its application. You can't very well have one set of rules to trade with China, another set of rules to not trade with Cuba, on the notion that we don't negotiate with communists. The fact is, negotiation and trade tends to pull down barriers and to build bridges of cooperation and understanding. I thank the American Airlines and Cathay Pacific for helping to sponsor this trip today. One of the observations I made, Prince, as we flew from Chicago to LA to Hong Kong to here, at each airport you would see Cathay Airlines and American Airlines and British Airlines and Ethiopian Airlines, all these different airlines from around the world. And these pilots and the crews would run up and down the corridors of airports, speaking different language, different cultural expressions. So all of them almost interchangeably flying these MAM 747 airplanes. Because we've internationalized flight rules. We've internationalized that. There are no flight rules for America because it's a superpower. There's one set of rules, whether you're from Ethiopia, Thailand, Vietnam, China, South Africa. We've internationalized flight rules and flight training and the structure of airplanes is precisely these walls of cultural isolation with two-way bridges, not peace everywhere. It may be tiny rugby captured in it, and so in many ways, if it's the Olympics, and you see teams competing from around the world, and their field is even, and the rules are public and the goals are clear. If we can have even playing field and public rules for athletic events, we must have those same principles for access to education, who have more than they need, those who do not have enough and deserve so much more. We have these tensions between some why they can maintain privileges and life. Today our nation is in a state of war. Back home from this war. You hardly hear about it. Not had their medical assessments yet. Some of whom are now engaged in self-inflicted wounds. Others of them are now committing suicide. And yet when those 15, because it's a way of dulling down sensitivity. The Pentagon will not release their pictures for the major press. And so we hear
not going down. Yanis?
To promote peace, the bridges dialogues towards a culture of peace. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the chairman of the International Peace Foundation in Thailand and coordinator of this impressive program of events, Mr. Uwe Moraves, to tell you more about all the exciting programs. Mr. Uwe Moraves, please.
As a contribution to the decade for culture of peace and non-violence, initiated and promoted by the United Nations General Assembly in the year 2000, Thailand has been chosen as the host country for Bridges Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace, initiated by the International Peace Foundation, a non-political independent foundation under the common patronage of 21 Nobel Peace Prize laureates based in Vienna. Thailand has been chosen for the following reasons. The Thai nation and its people, with their self-confidence, open-mindedness and tolerance, provide a creative pathway to peace, which could serve as an inspiring role model for the prevention, mediation and solution of conflicts. Under the wisdom and spiritual leadership of His Majesty the King, as a shining example for inner and outer peace, a democratic Thailand has the ability to promote peace and the potential to stabilize the region. It has a rich, diversified network of national and international organizations, including business, diplomats, media, and NGOs, which provide the ground for an enhanced intercultural dialogue. Bridges Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace will be inaugurated today with a keynote speech of Reverend Jesse Jackson, who has been an assistant to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a presidential candidate twice, and a senator for Washington, D.C. The Reverend Jackson will address the topic, Can the United States become a force for peace? The US after the war on Iraq. The series of more than 200 lectures and more, and from November 2004 until April 2005. During the one-year period, 24 Nobel laureates for peace
physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and economics, as well as decision makers in international politics, science, economy, culture, and the media, will join hands with Thai leaders in all parts of society to promote the kingdom as a center for dialogue and international understanding. The holistic approach of the event's programs reflects that peace involves all parts of society. Scientists, artists, and the media. And so I'm grateful for the wide support the people of Thailand have provided the work of His Majesty the King for peace and prosperity of all peoples, cultures, and religions. Their honorarium for the benefit of the events, all sponsors and partners for their generous partners in the upcoming events, to step towards a culture of peace through dialogue, understanding. To especially thank the Ambassador of Austria, where we are. I want to thank and introduce you to Hildegard Dechter from Berlin. Could you come up here for a moment, or in Germany? So this is the core team who made this possible, and please give them all. I also want to thank the chairman who have been here to Bangkok earlier this year to promote the events and who have kindly agreed to this.
Sawadika. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Moravec, also for all the preparation of these events. And I would also like to thank the Thammasat University, which is today hosting on the 17th anniversary of their creation. I will just make a special thank to Reverend Jesse Jackson, who is the first speaker of the International Peace Foundation, which has indeed enlightened and uplifted the life of many people on this planet. And he's here together with his beloved wife and son, and I also want to thank the staff for taking care of them and of us so carefully. One thought, last night we had the chance to enjoy the Thai way of life, the Sanuk. You see, what I realized was that it would be really wonderful if everybody would have this chance. The International Peace Foundation wants to be an independent platform for a dialogue, wants to bring together people from the different target of society to sit and peacefully find solutions. If we want that everybody is in the position to celebrate life, we need people and government which decide to eradicate and not alleviate, but to eradicate poverty. We need people and government which stand against war and against any violation of the human rights. We need, of course, government very committed to give free access to the basic social rights, not needs, rights. Free water, food, housing, a dignified job, education. We need people which are ready to experience democracy, and we have to make them ready. And government which promote equality, justice. In this way, indeed, we will be able to achieve peace. But let's stop to accuse each other. Let's really sit together and find a common ground where we can build really our future for the benefit of the whole of humanity. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, We are living in a confusing world. Deception and disinformation. We are producing smart bombs, but I say it here at the university, but instead of producing smart bombs, we should produce smart people. We should give them education. We have developed guided missiles, but we misguide people, men and women, to use them. We concentrate all our efforts into the war on terror instead of into the only war worth fighting, the war on poverty. Bridges, dialogues for a culture of peace. What does this mean? Nothing else, nothing more, but nothing less than what kind of future do we all want to see? In what kind of future do we want to invest now? What kind of world do we want to see for our children and grandchildren? A culture of peace. This means for us a global culture which is organized with the main purpose to promote the full realization of every human being. In a culture of peace, every human being has the right and of course the obligation to choose what self-realization means for her or him. But the spectrum of self-realization is any point between the mere satisfaction of basic needs as it is defined and guaranteed by the human rights. So this is the minimum within the spectrum of self-realization, and it goes up to the highest development and expression of the full human potential. Ladies and gentlemen, such peace is a child of love and wisdom. And this peace gives us in turn the strength and the wisdom to join into and cooperate the ongoing work of creation for recreating the world into its original form of love, justice, peace, joy, and the absence of suffering. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there was this famous song of John Lennon where he said, "Imagine." Now then the refrain is, you will say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we all join into this dream and we make this dream a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Highnesses. Next, please allow me to introduce Director of Thammasat University, Associate Professor Dr. Narit Chayasu.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special day for Thammasat University. We are honored to serve as the host of this inaugural event in the series Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace. The International Peace Foundation and its program's chairman, Uwe Moravec, have done a remarkable job bringing together the people of Thailand for this project. The list of distinguished visitors who will be joining us in Thailand for the next few years is quite impressive. The mission of promoting dialogues is an admirable one. Ladies and gentlemen, peace is such a one seems to be more difficult. We hope that the peace bridges we are building here in Thailand will span the global and stimulate a renewed in pursuing peace. This year, Thammasat University is 70 years old, and we are delighted to include this event in our year of celebration. Our history has been linked directly to the ideals of peace, democracy, freedom, and social justice. We believe that the role of the university is greater than that of creating and imparting knowledge. The university must also be a place where social responsibilities, ethics, and huge gathering of Thai citizens who appreciated the value of democracy, the matter, and to admire their bravery in defending democracy. The ideas of peace, personal safety, standing shoulder to shoulder, equality for all. Twice, he has run for the higher office of President of the United States, has served as an ambassador of opportunity and the importance of high quality education for all. Titled, Can the United States Become a Force for Peace? The U.S. after the war on Iraq. Ladies and gentlemen,
sharing this global effort, Prince Albert, please stand again. His co-part in this process is Princess Rafaela, please stand again. And one of our sons who made this journey, Jonathan Jackson. Jonathan, please stand. Well, thank you for inviting me here today to your beautiful country. It's an honor to be with you. Let us start with a moment of prayer, a moment of reconciliation, a moment of nonviolence, a moment of peace. Let us bow our heads. Fill your heads with visions of Dr. King and Gandhi. Fill your hearts with thoughts of peace and nonviolence. Remember the words of the prophet Isaiah, and he shall among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Amen. Last February 15th, I had the privilege of speaking in London to one of the largest, 250,000 in Paris, 2 million in Rome, 1 million in Madrid, another 1 million in Barcelona, 10,000 in the Canary Islands, 50,000 in Glasgow, 500,000 in New York, another 250,000 in San Francisco, hundreds of thousands more in Amsterdam, Athens, Homs, and the years to come. Peace requires a tough mind and a tender heart. Peace is more difficult than war. You have to think. You have to build rather than destroy. Peace is practical. Peace attracts investment. Peace is wholesome for family development. Peace requires the capacity to reconcile opposites and find common ground or a creative synthesis. Peace increases productivity. Peace extends life and love and family. Peace, however difficult, is worth the journey. On Dr. King's last birthday, as I reflect, as I stood before the crowd in London, I thought back to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s, one of the greatest peacemakers who ever lived. On January 15th, 1968, his 39th birthday, we met together to plan a three-point agenda. One, to pull together a multiracial coalition, choosing containment and negotiation over endless bombing to moral higher ground. To choose mines over guided missiles. We choose coexistence. Each day, more and more people in the United States, and indeed around the world, are questioning and challenging the administration's rationale and the pretext for going to war. One, the world does not believe us when the U.S. says the Iraq threat was imminent. And so far, the administration's proofs have been totally unconvincing. The world saw Iraq as trapped in a glass jar, contained for the past 12 years, committed to rebuilding our world and changing our course. We could wage less on weapons of war in Africa and Asia and Latin America and all around the world, ending child labor, ending childhood sex exploitation, inventing and distributing renewable energy technologies, building schools for our children. That's how America can become a force for peace. I come to the country today, here in Thailand, a country so beautiful in its scenery, perfectly positioned geographically, so brilliant in its technological skills, so vibrant in its human spirit, and yet it borders Burma, a repressive regime whose actions are displacing good and innocent people to no fault of their own. They're here in Thailand. It is a crisis. Good news that Thailand has received them. Good news is Thailand has not turned them away. They have a natural right to be in Burma, an international right to be in Thailand. But they must not merely go from death to destitution and remain suspended by a fragile rope of hope. Thailand and the UN and the U.S. have a moral and legal obligation to provide humane conditions for people seeking refuge, roads and houses and recreation for the children. They deserve to go back to a democratic and tolerant Burma. But in the meantime, we must affirm all of their human rights and needs as members of the international family. Today we had a most magnificent meeting with Prime Minister Thaksin. We talked about this matter in detail. I thank and congratulate him for receiving the people in desperation from Burma. He has agreed to visit a camp, to create for those persons there better accommodations, to create jobs, and ultimately return them to Burma. For that, Prime Minister Thaksin deserves a great round of applause. Let me hear you express yourself. A better world is still possible. We've come back full circle to a profound point Dr. King made in April of 1967. When he spoke out again.
Reverend Jesse Jackson is in Thailand for the Bridges lecture series, Dialogue Towards a Culture of Peace. Jackson was the first to speak in the series. Jackson is a former presidential candidate, currently as a senator from Washington, D.C. He also worked with U.S. civil rights legend Martin Luther King. His speech at the Thammasat University today asks, can the US become a force for peace? More than 1,000 scholars, students and diplomats attended. Jackson says only through the power of hope, dream and will can peace be brought to the world. The US attacked Iraq unilaterally, but it will take the whole world together to achieve peace.
They have a natural right to be in Burma, an international right to be in Thailand. But they must not merely go from death to destitution and remain suspended by a fragile rope of hope. Thailand and the UN and the US have a moral and legal obligation to provide humane conditions for people seeking refuge.
He also demanded Burma take action to improve its human rights record.
Dr. King made in April of 1967. We spoke out the